we will hear from Vikas Jha. He is the founder and CEO at Cymmetri. We would like to mention that Cymmetri has been from day one putting a lot of effort in thriving the WHYNOTIAM community. Thanks a lot, Vikas. Over to you.
So first, thank to Sanjeev and one of my fellow colleagues. Most of my slide has already spoken. Yeah, and that's the beauty of community, right? Because most of the things is getting discussed, debate, and concluded. So that slide, of course, I'm not going to discuss in the detail, but if you have any question on that front, we can discuss about that. So identity, right? So identity problem is not the new problem. It's a decade problem. If we'll practically see, there are the many products in the identity world is almost more than decade old, right? But still the identity problem is not resolved. Still lot of customer has bought the product, lot of customer has implemented the solution in a halfway. Someone is using only identity, someone is implemented the IGA, someone has implemented the only privilege access management. So when we started building the Cymmetri, the first thing which came in our mind, there are so many products available in the market, why it's not implemented 100% in any of the organization. As I coming from the bank, I used to work with HSBC group. We were having so many identity products. But practically, before that I used to work with one of the broking company in India, and before that I was with one of the exchanges. None of the product I have seen implemented in a full-fledged manner. So we realize, most of this product is either focused into one of the area is governance, someone is focused into the access management, someone is focused into a privilege or consumer and that front. So first thing, when we started building the Cymmetri, we decided to build the identity hub. And that's what, this is the center of Cymmetri. We'll talk in a detail that what the Cymmetri is, how it works and all that. That will take the 5 minutes in the last. But before moving into the Cymmetri, let's understand why the identity is getting into the attraction, from lot of the enterprise, right? If you'll see, lot of the organization or many of the organization has the physical security and the network security. But imagine if your username, password, your authentication details and your session details is compromised, what the firewall is going to do? What is the network security is going to do? Nothing, right? So practically identity is the most important for any of the organization, and which many organizations have started realizing it. So if you will protect the identity, now I'm talking about identity in any terms, right? We'll discuss in that what all the identity is there, right? So if you protect the identity, I think, I'm not saying that 100% protection we will do, but most of the attacks which is happening on the authentication, authorization, you will able to control. And that you cannot do without the strong identity platform. This is one of the report. Okay, of course I have taken one of the research company. You will see more than 81% breaches has happened either on the stolen password or the weakened password. Means like, let's take an example. You are using the very complex password, okay? Let's say you are using the alphanumeric, you are using exclamation mark, you are using, all the characters. I will not name it, but recently one of the biggest retail chain in India, because today we are talking about the Indian market, so we'll focus more on that. Their customer information got stolen by the attacker community, and when they compromise, their password was stored in the plain text. Now imagine whatever the complexity you are using, right? You are using alphanumeric, you are using numeric or whatever. there is no use because your password is compromised. And once your password is compromised, already is available on a lot of platform, right? If you go into habiporn.com and if you put your password, you will realize the password which you feel is complex, maybe this is already compromised. So that's that type of attacks which is happening in the recent attacks. Now all this is related to identity, right? If you will, and of course all this area, neither your firewall is going to protect, neither your UABA is going to protect, neither your world-class perimeter security framework is going to protect this. Because once you allow the user to enter in the organization with the username and the password, and they have the authorized access of the privileged users, I'm done, right? You can't stop me to do anything. And that's one of the biggest lot of attacks you will see today, right? Again, I will not name it, but one of the identity platform, world best selling platform, that also got compromised. It's not a platform problem. It was not a platform problem. It was a problem because their email account got compromised, and MFA used to come on the email. Attacker used that MFA to log in into the system. And they access all the data of the devices and everything. So, end of the day, if your identity is compromised, everything is under the compromised state. Either you put million of dollar or billion of dollar to protect your infrastructure or protect your devices. This is one of the slide which is already covered by Sanjeev, which is the zero trust. I totally agree with him, right? Zero trust is not a product. It's always the principle. And I believe that any company who is building the security product or cyber security product, they should follow this. Because you have to assume the breach is going to happen. Attack is going to happen. If anyone say that, okay, I can stop the attack, either they are lying to themselves or they are lying to the world. You cannot stop the attacks. It's just you are mitigating the attack for the temporary. If someone more smarter than you, someone is more intelligent than you, they can enter in your system very easily. So you have to assume, and that's what all the product has to build on this philosophy. Identity is already, we covered it, so I'm not going to take much time on this. This is one of our study, right? Of course, there could be some of the things which I missed here. When we started thinking on the identity, right? These are the identity came into our mind, right? User identity, which is your employee, your partner, your workforce. Talk about the device identity, which is your servers, your desktops, your laptops, your network devices, your firewall devices. Service identities, which talks about, so there are two things, right? One is the service identity and the service accounts. There are two different things. If you are doing the service to machine communication, right? In that process, we use the service accounts. The service identity is more like which you will use like a SAML account, or when you are on a AWS account and you are creating a AWS IAM account to give the permission of your S3 bucket and all that. The privileged administrative identities, and the last one is the guest and temporary identities. So we believe that if really someone want to solve the identity problem, this is of course our understanding and our feeling. Any product who want to really solve the identity problem, or any solution which you want to solve the identity problem, they have to build this identity into a single platform. Again, I'm not talking about the feature, I'm not talking about the session recording and all that, I'm just talking about the identity management. I'm not talking about the feature here. So if any product who has the identity, central identity to control the access and authorizations, of course they can at least able to manage and protect the authentication and the authorizations. This again, I will skip this. This is already, it's covered, right, that enforce the least privilege access, right? So whenever the, imagine, right, someone joined the organization, and of course, HR and everyone does the background verification, but let's say I'm a vendor and I'm working with one of the bank. Normally vendor got onboarded based on their financial statements and all that. But imagine someone has joined in my server administration team and there is no verification happen for that particular employee, for the vendor I'm talking about or for the outsource vendor. And they have the access to the critical core banking system and they have a bad background from the previous, then how you are going to manage this? So what we believe that any new users comes to the organization, when they join it, you should always validate with the least privilege, give them less privilege, follow the processes and then go to the next level. So that's what we believe in and that's what we had built part of the Cymmetri also. Devices, again, as we discussed, right, device identity is also important because when you are going to bring the identity on the single platform, user, device, machine, service account. So device identity also you have to manage. Now device identity, peripherals and the features are very different. It's not like only username and the password, right? Because device has no password. Practically in the device you log in with the username and the password, not with the device password. Then this is the applications. So as we discussed, right? So you have a user, you have a device, you have applications. So the all comes under the one platform to manage the identities. We believe that, any strong identity solution should have the basic 8 features. Of course, there could be the more and more on top of that. One is the unleashing identity management. As we spoke about that, as we discussed it, that any identity platform should manage all type of identities. Talk about service, account, machines, service discovery, all you have to manage into a single platform. Threat noise, I think I'm not sure, but everyone believes that, right? One of the biggest problem for the SOC team. What is the biggest problem for any SOC team? Anyone is from the SOC? Perfectly, right? What is the false positive, right? Practically, if we'll see, let's see if you are getting millions of threats, right, in the organization, daily basis, more than, I believe that 70-80% is the noise, or more than that also, right? Now in that noise, let's assume that one of the noise is for your Windows administrator or Active Directory administrator and you lost in that. How you are going to manage that? Second thing, none of the SOC has the capabilities to identify that which is the high risk user, which is the low risk user and which is the administrative users. All the SOC take data from a AD, right? And from the AD, they by forget that this is the administrator and this is the normal user or this is the domain admin or enterprise admin. But only AD is the problem? No. Let's see, I have a root access in a database and I got the threat information in my SOC. How you are going to verify that? So identity management, when you are building the identity, any identity, you have to take care that is my identity solution or whatever I am implementing is going to help me to reduce my threat noises. Account sharing, I think one of my colleagues, one industry colleague already covered that they are solving the address of account sharing problem. But practically if we'll see that, right, in a shared environment where the team is working in a shift, okay, or the vendor is working, it is possible to create a individual account for every user? No, right? Then how you are going to protect the sharing information? I'm talking about the big banks, I'm talking about the big enterprises, The sharing is going to happen. Whatever system you implement, you are not going to stop it. So, I feel that any system which you are building, you have to build to solve an ease of customer problem, not to increase the customer problem. So any identity solution should cover all this. Device health compliance, if device is non-compliant or if any malware is installed and if that device is coming to authenticate, you should verify all that. That's what the identity we are talking about. Continuous access reviews, that's one of the important factor of any identity access management tool. if you have only the authentication and you have authorization, you are all doing the prevention, right? But you have to take action also. As we know that breach is going to happen, right? This is the assume. So if tomorrow if you find the breach, what you are going to do? Are you going to stop the job or you are going to take the action? That's what the governance talks about. Then real-time monitoring and all and generic accounts. This is one of the biggest issue which we feel that not now, already it has started, but in the next 2 to 3 years, generic accounts, vendor and outsource is going to be the big problem. Because currently all the organization is focused into the identity for employees, for internal. But soon is going to be the blown on the outsource and vendor. Because that's the problem which is going to occur in the identities very soon. This is all about identity. What Cymmetri does, Cymmetri has the 6 module life cycle management, which start from joining of the employee, leaving the employee, moving the employee, or vendors, single sign-on on the MFA, identity governance, privilege access management, adaptive MFA, threat detection and response. So this is our platform. We work with many of the BFSI customers, manufacturing customer in India. Of course, we are a Make in India product and we are registered on all this platform. And we believe that if the Indian enterprise is so complex, if you solve the Indian enterprise problems really, you can solve any one problem or for any countries or any region. Second, Indian customers are demanding, everyone knows. So we started from there and we are working with the other regions also. So this is all about Cymmetri. My friend and my colleague Gaurav is also here. So if I have any questions or anything, please let me know. This is all about this. Thank you.
Please.
So, hi, thank you. So, I agree with you, right, in terms of whatever the solution that we are coming up with, so it needs to store multiple different type of accounts, right? And those accounts could be from any place, right, any region. Being a product owner or so the one who offers the product. So, what's your recommendation for the best practices in terms of see, the moment, earlier, we were having multiple ADs in order to serve different reasons, right? And those were silos. And the moment the identity management kind of solution comes into play, so it needs to interact with, integrate with all those ADs and then pull all the data. So different type of account data. And that is becoming a sweet spot for the threat actors, right? So two best practices. One from the perspective of how to ensure the solution is protective, and 2 from the regulation aspect, since it is pulling the data from different reasons, right? So how to protect that?
Okay. So I will answer into the 3 parts. Okay. One is that, of course, if it's their identity and if you want to bring all the identity into the one place, there is the risk associated with that, right? But there is a way which you can de-risk your risk associations, right? So one is that when you are bringing the identities, right, there can be multiple things, right? First, you store your identity in the encrypted format, okay? If tomorrow anyone's steal the data, still they don't have anything because they will not able to decrypt it. Now I don't want to get into all the discussion that, okay, there is the way to do that. There is the way a lot of things can done. That's the one thing, right? Second thing is that always you should reassess your identity architecture itself. Because normally what we do, we implement the identity and we forget it. I have seen in many places. So what happens, once you implement the identity, you start bringing the information, right? End of the day, what the information identity system has? All the employee information, customer information, right? If you protect, if you encrypt, nothing, it's a very few chances, very less chances that it will compromise, right? Second, your authentication is anyway there in your AD and LDAP and all that. I'm talking about from a workforce identity perspective, right? I never suggest the enterprise should move from AD authentication to the local authentication. If you don't have a choice, you move it. Because there are the many things which are associated with the AD and all, right? That's the one thing. Second, to talk about the region, right? I think all identity management system today, if you'll see, they started supporting the region-based data. If we'll talk about us or many products, right? So let's see, in India now the data privacy law has almost come, right? And it's a rule that you cannot transfer the data from a cross-border. Now, there are the many identity products which store the Indian data into an Indian database, Indian premises database, US in the US database. So, and that's what is all possible because of the cloud, because AWS provide all this feature, Azure provide the feature, Google Cloud provide this feature, you use that and you store it. So that problem is already, I think, resolved. I'm not saying 100% resolved, but at least if in the product which doesn't support this, they have in the verge or path to support this feature. That's
Thank you.
okay. Anything else? Anyone? Thank you.
Hi. One thing you really said correctly. If you are able to serve Indian customer, you can serve everywhere. Okay. So my question is, obviously there are leading vendors like CyberArk, SailPoint, Ping, Okta. How will you compete with them? What's your uniqueness over there? And how you present yourself in the market and which segment area that you are targeting?
Okay, so first of all, I solve the basic problem. Okay, they are big, they have good money, they have the good investment, so I don't compete with them first of all. Okay, and I can't compete also. That's the one thing. I solve the very basic problem for the customer, which none of these players are solving. They are selling features. Okay, I don't sell feature. When I say our company, right, we say the very basic things, that first I will solve your identity problem. Today, you go and talk to any of the customers. Are they happy with the PAM? No. Are they happy with the IDEM? No. They will say, boss, I am using Excel sheet to manage my own application. Okay, I am using the AD to manage another application. I am using PAM to manage the devices, and now I bought the new system because that my current PAM doesn't support the cloud identity because the AWS is not supporting, recording is not available. So in the one organization, already these are all happening, and practically before that it was an infrastructure issue, right? Now in the last 3 years, these problems are not the infrastructure problem. Is the CISO problem. Now what the CISO want? CISO want, boss, and CISO has a very less budget and very less number of team. They don't have the army, right? Like infrastructure has the army, application team has the army. CISO team has only 2 or 3 people max, not more than that. They don't have a time to go into all the system. So they need the single interface where they want to see which is the high risk user, low risk user, medium risk user, devices which is under compromise, okay, can be the compromise. This type of data CISO want to see. So when we go, we first solve these basic problems. Second, what we solve your lever, mover and joiner process. If you solve these 2 problems, I think most of the problem is already attacked and you are covered it. Now we'll talk about all these products which you named it, right? They are mostly focused to implement, connect and out. And first of all, it's not the OEM driven. It's all driven by the partners. I'm sure the ones of partner is sitting here, right? How many times you go and raise your critical issue and get a response fast? Or have you able to build any feature, all the product you name it, like you are facing on the ground? It's very difficult, right? So that's the one of the big difference. We don't know about the future, but at least for now, we are here to whatever. So we can talk about the customer, right? Today we are serving many customers in India. You name it. We are serving the stock exchanges. We are serving with banks. The bank is using our platform to authenticate their net banking and mobile banking. So we are doing it. So we solve basics. We don't commit feature. We solve basic, and we will solve in 100% manner. So that's the difference.